2010 Physics Paper 1, Part B, Question 9. Let's read and identify. In a vacuum, two charges, plus 8 microcoulomb and -6, millicoulomb. So it's plus 8 millicoulomb and -6 millicoulomb attract each other with a force of 3 by 10 to the 5. How far apart are the charges? So we've read, we've identified, let's draw. So we have charge 1, we have charge 2. We want to know their separation R. Let's do the charges. 8 by 10 to the -3, that's what milli means. 8 by 10 to the -3, and that's a positive charge. This is a negative charge, and it's -6 millicoulomb, -6 by 10 to the -3. So we've read, we've identified, we've drawn. We now need to decide. We decide on Coulomb's law, F equals K, Q1, Q2 on R squared. Now we plug in the values. The force is 3 by 10 to the 5. That's in Newton, correct? K is 9 by 10 to the 9. Q1, 8.0 by 10 to the -3. Just make sure my point comes out. Q2, -6.0 by 10 to the -3 divided by separation squared. It's now a matter of transposing that equation. So multiply both sides by R squared. So I get R squared on the left hand side, and R squared cancels out on the right hand side. Divide both sides by 3 by 10 to the 4. That cancels out on this side. So get 9 by 10 to the 9 multiplied by 8.0 by 10 to the -3 multiplied by 6.0 by 10 to the -3, and divide through by 3 by 10 to the 4. I'll do the next step now is take the square root of both sides. And so therefore R equals. So I can now go through and work out this particular value here. And so if we do our powers of 10, 10 to the 9 by 10 to the -3 by 10 to the -3 over 10 to the 4. When you do all that, 9 minus 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3, and subtract 4 is 10 to the -1, so all of that becomes 10 to the -1. And if we multiply out our values, 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3. So let's have a look at this. Turn it on. 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3 equals, multiplied by 0.1 equals, so it's the square root of 14.4, 3.79. I think I've made a mistake. Let me go back over and work that out again. 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3, 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3, 10 to the 9, 10 to the -6 is 10 to the 3, divided by 10 to the 4 is 10 to the -1. Let's do this again. 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3 equals, multiplied by 10 to the -1 is 0.1, and I'm taking the square root of 14.4. Have I got that right? 9 times 8 times 6 times, divided by 3 equals, 9 times 8 times 6 divided by 3 equals 144 times 0.2 equals 1.44. Okay, I think by my answers I'm out by a factor of 10, because when you take the square root, I know that the answer is 1.2 meters. I'm out by a factor of 10. I'll come back and I'll check that problem. I have my error here, 3 by 10 to the 5, and somehow or other I made that 3 by 10 to the 4. So if that's 3 by 10 to the 5, that's 3 by 10 to the 5. So when I go through and I do this, this is by 10 to the negative 2. So it's actually the square root of 1.44, which is 1.2. Ha! Right, so the separation of the charges is 1.2 meters.